I grew up with the understanding that parents are supposed to foot the bill for their child's wedding, especially the daughter's wedding. But things kind of took a strange turn for me when I was in college. Hi everybody, this is Navdeep Kaur and welcome to my channel. It's wedding season in the Western world, so we're talking weddings and money. Please consider subscribing by clicking the red button below and the bell icon right next to it so you'll be the first to find out when I post a new video. My family faced a huge setback in life right before I started college. And somehow my parents managed to put me through school without me having to take out student loans. But as I neared graduation, I knew that my getting a job was the only way to regain some sort of stability for my family. And it took me a month of serious trying to actually land a job during the United States' worst economic period during recent history. With my first real job, I was making between $30,000 to $35,000 a year before taxes. And if you know anything about how much things cost here in the Bay Area, then you know that that is barely enough for one person to survive on. Luckily, I had my parents to cover the survival costs, but I still had to pay my way through graduate school, help out at home wherever I could, and save as much as possible for my future. And for me, that future did include getting married. But before I even knew who I would be marrying, I knew that I did not want all of my parents' finances being drained by my wedding. So I put myself on a budget. But the biggest barrier I ran into was determining how much I needed to save for my future wedding. It's not like I could just go asking people how much they paid for their own weddings. That just seems kind of rude. So I spent months and months just researching the different things that go into putting on such a big event, such as venue, decor, food, clothing, etc., etc. The internet was my best friend in this research. And lucky for me, my family doesn't do parties or receptions, so that was something I could scratch off my list pretty easily. But on the other hand, I knew there would be absolutely no chance of us having a small guest list. And another variable I had to deal with was I didn't really know how long I would have to save for my wedding. So I made a wedding plan for just the basic, simple, no-frills wedding. I expected the venue, the Gurdwara, to cost up to $5,000. And then for a guest list of maybe 700 to 800 people, I set aside $15,000 for all the food. And this included the sweets we'd be giving out with the invitations. And for the invitations, I put aside $500 because getting them printed from India isn't that expensive. And then I made a list of all of the outfits I'd be buying for the wedding and also as part of my trousseau. Based on the average price of Indian and Punjabi outfits at that time, I estimated that I would need about $5,000 for all of my clothing and about $1,500 for my husband's gifts from our side. And luckily, my family stopped that whole exchange of gifts between the two families a long time ago, so I didn't need to factor that into my math. But I did know that our house needed some major repairs and that I'd be needing new furniture even though I wasn't really sure what my living arrangements would be like post-marriage. So I gave myself $10,000 for repairs and about $5,000 for new furniture. And of course, you can't forget about capturing those special moments. I knew I would be pulling favors from family friends for photography, so I gave myself $3,000 for that. All of these calculations did not include what my husband or in-laws would be pitching in, if anything, but with these projections, I needed to save $45,000 for my wedding, and I wasn't even bringing home half that amount each year. And on top of that, I had to pay for graduate school, buy a decent car, and help out at home as much as I could. I was about 21 or 22 at this time and expected that I would have 3 to 4 years to save this amount. So my goal was to save $800 to $1,000 per month. This was no easy task, and it really helped a lot that I was able to move up in jobs a year and a half later and get a small salary boost. During those 4 years, I did deprive myself of a lot of things that other young adults my age were just beginning to splurge on. I never partied, my hangouts with my friends were never expensive, and I limited my shopping quite a bit. It may be hard to believe, but I had a very limited wardrobe back in those days. Most of my nice work clothes, such as suits, trousers, and blouses, I had made by tailors in India because that was so much cheaper than trying to buy them here in America. Financial advisors will hate me for saying this, and I don't advise it now either, but I really didn't put much into my retirement savings during those years. I got myself one of the most basic cars available and really pinched pennies wherever I could. By the time I got engaged, I was really close to meeting my savings goal, but there was a small problem. I hadn't budgeted for an engagement or a whole family trip to India. But that's where my whole family came together and took care of the things that I hadn't anticipated. And the same happened during the wedding. Despite me not being able to cover all the expenses of my wedding, I can definitely say that I am proud of everything I was able to pay for. And my family didn't let me pay for everything either, which meant after the big event, I had some money left over in my bank account. We didn't have a huge wedding. It was a one-day event with our focus completely on the religious, spiritual, and family aspects of that special day. We didn't throw a gigantic party to show off to the world or for others to enjoy. This was my wedding, and in the end, it felt good knowing that in my own way, I had broken that cycle of daughters being considered burdens on their parents in the Indian culture. I really hope this video can help you plan for your future and take ownership of making your own dreams come true. I personally don't like how everybody is blindly following trends and chasing after the bigger, and biggest wedding. People are going into debt to make sure that they can brag about their big day, and sometimes this means putting an unfair burden on the parents or family to make sure that their wedding is bigger and better than all the ones they've attended before. Be realistic and focus on cherishing the special moments of this major life event. You will truly value the things you've worked hard for. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and click subscribe if you haven't already. What are some of your marriage, wedding, and relationship questions? Ask away in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Until next time.